Hey everyone, and welcome to Evo Bootcamp 2018 with your boys over at Hungover Gaming. My name's Yvonne over there.
I'm Julien. What's up, guys? This
And
is a great show.
yeah,
I'm
and
excited.
Julian, I want to get right into it because
Good.
this is a game that is so anime. My hair, I don't understand why it's not standing in polygonal shapes. Polygonal?
Polygonal. Polygonal.
Polygonal?
Uh,
Um,
Yvonne, what's the name of the game we're gonna be talking about today?
okay, get ready for some outtakes here.
Here we go.
Guilty Gear Revelator 2.
Yeah,
Revolator 2. Guilty Gear
Yeah, I look.
Revolator.
That revelator is not a word. I found out, and I kept trying to spell it, and this has to be a word. Are you kidding me? But it's not a word, and neither is Xrd. You know why it's Xrd?
Because it's the 10th in the series.
That's Guilty Gear X, but they made 3 Guilty Gear X's, I think, and that's why this is the third X, Guilty Gear X, and this is the second.
You're shitting me.
Anime Fighters! Let's go!
Wow, okay. So, what is so interesting about this game? This game is a kind of standard 6-button layout 2D fighting game in the anime style.
Yes,
So,
definitely.
what makes this game so special? Why is it going to be featured at Evo?
So this game is similar to 2 other games that we're going to be seeing at Evo. Dragon Ball Fighters and Blaze Blue Chrono Cross Tag Battle. Not Chrono Cross Tag Battle. Cross Tag Battle. Those are the 2 other anime games that are being played at Evo. These games differ from your standard 2D fighting game, and that's why they're classified as anime fighting games. And this is because you can air dash. So you can air dash in this game forward and back, and that allows, which we talked about last week with our Dragon Ball Fighters video. Go check that out if you want to learn a bit about Dragon Ball Fighters. This game is made by the same developer, Arc System Works, and because you can dash in the air, it allows for a lot of mix-ups and cross-ups, so you can jump over your opponent very quickly and get to the other side and perhaps cross them up and hit them from the other side. So that will mix up their guarding. In combination with another thing that we didn't really talk about with Dragon Ball Fighters, which is move canceling, or specifically jump canceling your moves. That's the technique that you can cancel a lot of your normal moves. So if you just push, punch, or kick with the direction, you can land the hit, but also cancel out the animation with a jump. So that can be very useful for getting yourself out of situations, and make a move safe, and possibly also extend your combos. So you can do that in Dragon Ball Fighters. I think the name of this game is pretty much canceling your moves at the right time. This game has 4 different ways, as far as I know, to cancel your moves.
Okay.
The other ways to cancel your moves are called Roman cancels. And this shit gets real heavy.
Speaking of 4th of July.
4th of July, not anymore. It's the 11th of July for us. Close enough. So there's 3 different types of Roman cancels: the yellow, red, and purple. So you'll see this visually if you choose to watch this tournament, and that's what we're trying to prepare
Encourage
you to do, of course. Support these players. There's a lot of them, but these require an amount of tension gauge. So you have a gauge on the bottom of your screen, like Street Fighter, and some Tekken characters, where you can basically push a bunch of buttons at the same time and cancel your move. This will cancel out special moves as well, pretty much any move, and they all have different properties and can be used defensively as well. So these games are actually probably the most complex games at Evo in terms of technical skill in combination with just mind games in the game. So I'm
not gonna lie, as a new member of the FGC, this game
one's confusing.
Is a bit on the stronger side of the learning curve for me.
Definitely.
This is the game that I feel the least amount of comfort with, from the range of characters like you have introduced me to Bedman, who is, I assume, the literally scariest Make-A-Wish child ever to exist. To, you know, all of these different combinations and moves and Roman cancels, which is actually an amazing punny name, and I'm a big fan of, but yes. I don't know that it's like, I don't know that it's what you would build a game around. This is a very funny studio.
Yeah, Arc System Works is awesome.
So this is a game that is very complex in its level of inputs. Do you think that it is, because we've seen a range of new titles coming out that make it easier or harder to do inputs and make sure that their techniques are going through. This is one of the things that we've been harping on from day one of this series. With this level of complexity, is this a way to have both beginners be able to play and high-level players be able to have exceptionally difficult techniques to master and replicate?
Absolutely. I think that this game, they put a lot of effort into the tutorial mode in this game, and Guilty Gear Revelator 1 and Guilty Gear Xrd Sign, which are all basically the same game, but these Guilty Gear Revelator 1 and 2 are iterations of Guilty Gear Xrd Sign, which basically they issued a balance update, added some new moves and some new characters, but it's pretty much the same game, because with the same systems anyway. So the tutorial and the tutorial mode for the game really teaches you in an innovative way, I think, for fighting games anyways, that makes it remotely entertaining, how to play the game and how to play the game on a basic level. So there are many systems in this game, and especially on the higher level when it becomes a mind game, whether or not you're going to Roman cancel at a certain time, this game does a good job of teaching you the basics. So and there's a cool story mode and pretty cool characters, I think. So I think this game reaches out to a bunch of different people, even though it's a very niche category of video games, being an anime fighter. I know the people that like these games are diehard for their anime fighters, and they'll play all the Blaze Blue games, even though Blaze is spelled incorrectly. But who fucking cares? These games are awesome to them, and they have them at Evo. So, I think this game does, even though it maybe like, if you just watch the game at Evo not knowing anything, even though you watched this entire video,
which shame on you if that
yeah,
happens. Shame
on you. It can be a little difficult to follow. The game is really complex on the higher levels, but that being said, you can still have a lot of fun, I think, just picking up the game. And it's probably pretty cheap nowadays because the game came out 2 years ago, so...
Which is interesting. So this is going to be the second year at Evo.
Right.
We've had the previous iterations of Guilty Gear Xrd. So Sign at 2015 with under 1,000 entrants.
Yeah.
Rev 1 at 2016, again with under 1,000 entrants. And Rev 2 at 2017 with under 1,000 entrants as well, and even lower than the previous iterations. Do you expect there to be more entrants, like is maintained in that 800, 900 range, or will it drop down lower because this game is out for a second year?
Yeah, we're probably gonna. So Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 in 2017 had 827 entrants. I'm guessing we're probably gonna be around 750, 800 now, and this probably might be its last year. I think Dragon Ball Fighters will probably take over, and then they'll probably add, like, for instance, Soul Calibur 6 into the lineup. I think because
a bigger refreshment in the years to come.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe Super Smash Bros. Will have to take 3
Oh,
different
yes.
slots.
Yeah, who knows? There might be 3 Smash Bros. That would be the worst, and I don't think anyone would like that.
Literally the worst. So, of these games that we've previewed so far, where do you rank Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 in terms of speed of play and in terms of difficulty to pick up?
I think this game is probably... I mean, all the fighting games nowadays are all pretty fast-paced, I would say, except for even Smash 4. At Evo, specifically, we're talking about these games. Even Smash 4 can be pretty fast-paced. I think that game is probably maybe second slowest pace. Above Street Fighter V is probably the slowest paced game at Evo. I think Tekken is a pretty quick game. Obviously, Melee I would say is probably the most fast-paced game. I think this game comes in, and Dragon Ball FighterZ, super fast-paced game. I think this game comes in below Dragon Ball FighterZ a little bit in terms of how fast-paced the action will be. That being said, though, I think this game is probably... I mean, once you get the hang of any fighting game, it's like second nature.
You can transition
right?
those skills between. So we saw that with Dragon Ball FighterZ. We saw how many different people have transitioned from Marvel, or we had like Sonic Fox, who's a Mortal Kombat specialist, who was transferred into that game because it's a newer game.
Yeah.
I agree with you in terms of that. It does appear to me that once you understand the basic mechanics of a fighting game,
right,
you can learn the niche techniques that come into a game based on practice and skill level put into that game. What do you think are... do you think that this is going to be a continued popular style of games? So with the anime games, we have seen DBZ gain a lot of popularity. A lot of that, I think, is based on the novelty of it being a pretty good Dragon Ball game. Is that going to take over, like we've discussed before, the anime slots going forward, or will there be space for this kind of game in the future?
I think Evo... I think there's... in the fighting game community, Evo is pretty much... I mean, it's not fan-run, but they take a lot of input from the fan base. So they actually always put up one slot for voting, and I think that's honestly how Melee gets in every time or something. I don't know. I actually don't know
most entrants,
which
so
game
sense,
is
right?
voted on. Yeah, exactly. So I think there's always a fan base that loves to watch these anime games, and there always will be. So, and Arc System Works has made a killing off of Dragon Ball FighterZ between casual fans and, of course, the hardcore FGC fans. So I think there will probably be another anime fighting game in the future. I'm not sure. I haven't I haven't heard anything about a new fighting game that's anime based yet. I know that the Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, which is a game we won't cover because I actually have never played it, so I don't. And Yvonne, I don't know if you've played it, but I'm guessing you haven't.
Do we really have to guess? Folks in the audience,
so we don't want to cover
if you think that I have played this game, press 1 now. If you think I haven't played this game, press 2.
Press 2. Anyways, but yeah, I think there will be a game in the future to take over Guilty Gear's slot that is probably anime based. If not, Soul Calibur is going to take it, I think.
So, if so, are we losing something in the speed, in the freneticism, the frenetic pace of this game, the interesting levels of intricacies in terms of jump canceling and the roaming cancels in terms of that level of technique? Is this a unique game in its construction?
The Roman cancels are, I believe, unique to Guilty Gear Xrd, and the Guilty Gear series. I know that Dragon Ball Fighters and Blaze Blue have jump canceling. It's just a standard. Actually, I think it's pretty much a standard mechanic in these types of anime fighting games.
For Arc Systems games,
for especially Arc System games. But I'm pretty sure. Actually, I don't know who makes Blaze Blue. I should know, but I don't know. That's a series I do not follow on it. I couldn't get into it. But I know there's a huge fan base for it, and I think the Blaze
It's an
Blue.
Arc Systems.
Oh, it is. So they make all the anime fighting games. I did not know that. That's cool. So yeah, it's a standard mechanic that I is not ingrained in my my fighting game muscle memory, because I'm not used to having to, doing a jump in attack. So that's up and diagonal on the joystick, then hit the move and then press up again. I'm not used to that. I'm usually used to coming down, just in my muscle memory, coming down after my jump attack. So I pretty much just follow the arc, depending on what I'm doing, of the jump. So that's just something that I need to rewire in my brain if I want to learn how to play these games. I was never really good at Guilty Gear, but I played it long enough to understand, because it was like the first fighting game that came out on the PS4. I played it long enough to understand what was going on, and I think this will be a pretty exciting tournament, because I think the game has been out long enough for people to have a really huge, great grasp on or at least on techniques, and there's already a meta that's formed. It's unlike Dragon Ball Fighters, so it's interesting to have a fighter that's coming in to its meta, and it's interesting to have a fighter that has a very established meta as well, which this game does, I think.
Yeah, which another interesting thing is that even if we don't cover Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, that is another
We'll have to see if I buy it this weekend.
That's another fairly new game.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's going to be at Evo, right? The Cross Tag Battle?
Mm-hmm.
That's another fairly new game, which will have
really cool characters.
Will have residuals, right? Because it's part of the Blaze Blue series, but will have its own unique spin to it, since it is a brand new game that just released in June of this year.
Very exciting. And it's a tag-based game, so that, along with Dragon Ball Fighters taking the space of Marvel vs. Capcom, which typically was the tag team fighting game at Evo. But Marvel vs. Capcom is dead, so sorry.
So now we have
anime.
A game developer that is competing against itself for the top tier tag-based game in the anime fighting genre of the fighting game community.
Exactly. It's like EA releasing Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1 in the same time span. Why did they do that? Who knows? I don't know.
Because they hate mecha. But you know who loves mecha? This guy.
Hey,
and there
let's
is
go mechas.
not a terribly mecha feel to
meta
it's more
mecha?
like a. No, I was just thinking. I keep thinking about Bedman. Because this is just the strangest character I've ever seen. And
I knew you would like him. I knew you would like him.
He's not technically a mecha character, but it is a kid in a hospital room that's been afraid by all of the instruments around them, and so they turn them into monsters that fight for him. In any case, what are the top tier characters that we'll see played, unless you want to go back to gameplay, but what are the top tier characters that we'll see played at Evo in Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2?
As far as I know, there's top tier characters in no particular order: Johnny, Zato 1, Axel, Milia, who I know, I used to play her. Raven. Sin is also pretty cool. Ino is this witch character with a guitar. She's pretty anime. Venom and Chip. Chip I also used to play. They're good characters, or at least when I played the game a long time
So
ago.
I see this. There's a tweet from January 25th of 2018. The S tier characters that they have in this tweet, which is Japanese based, I assume, based on the kanji, is Chip, Kai, Johnny, and Raven.
Oh, Kai also.
Has there been a shift in the meta, do you think, since January?
I don't think they've, for instance, like Street Fighter will issue a huge patch to make Cammy a good character. No, Cammy was always a good character, but now she's really good. I don't think they've issued any patches of that size, so I can't imagine the meta shifting too much. But I would say that, I mean, you can be proficient with any character in a game in these types of games. So it's not so set in stone, the tier list, for instance. But that being said, I could totally see Kai being in the top 8 or top tier character.
And there's even debate on Reddit when I was going through to look at Guilty Gear tier lists. So some people have Axel, for instance, rated B. Some of them have them rated A
people
or higher.
Love this shit. Yeah.
So rating a character based on tier list is something that of a game
people
that's
do all the time.
New-ish and is shaken about all the time, especially when there aren't patches to rebalance. So you're finding new ways of exploiting characters, techniques, etc.
Some people foam at the mouth waiting for their favorite fighting game content creator to release their tier list. They're so happy to, like, for instance, if a player that you main, a character that you main is in your favorite fighting game content creator's top tier list. If you're like, oh, I'm so good at this game, finally. It's just what people really like to hear. So any reassurance that your character's good is good. And any hate you get, you're like, all right, fight me. And then, all right, it gets ridiculous. But anyways, I think that these characters, when you're looking for a good character in any fighting game, you look for, we've said this many times in our videos, so definitely go watch them. But you're looking for characters that have long, good ranged attacks, good movement specifically in these games. And good combo potential. So these are really important things to keep a track of in a video game and in fighting games specifically. And I think that this game has a lot of potential for creativity in your combos. I think that's probably the coolest thing about this game. You can have a lot of creativity with your combos, and you can convert from a lot of different angles and a lot of different heights, and that's what makes this game really cool. Convert to damage in combos. So that's what I'm just talking about.
So,
yeah.
In that, I know who I'm going to pick for my dark horse candidate to win this tournament.
Whoa.
But as it's been 20 years since the first Guilty Gear was released,
yes,
we've got a bunch of people who have been playing in the FGC Animu series of games for a very long time. Who are the top 8 players that we're going to be looking out for in this tournament as we go forward?
Well, the number 1 ranked player in Guilty Gear Xrd is Omito, or I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his made-up name. It's like Omito. He's from Japan. He's a Johnny main, and this guy has been on a roll in terms of tournaments that he's gone to, except for Evo Japan, where he suffered a defeat to Nage, who we'll talk about later. But Evo Japan was probably a pretty big stage for this game, as this game is played by a lot of Japanese people. But this guy came in first in King of Kings, Battlemania 2, which apparently was a large tournament that a lot of top 8 people went to. First in KVO Cross TSB 2018, not sure what that stands for, didn't watch that tournament. Second at Evo Japan, again, this is the first year that they had an Evo in Japan. So now we get 2 Evos, which is awesome. I think that's great, especially for the Japanese players. And the Korean players and the people in Southeast Asia. It's super not fair for them to have to travel to LA all the time. But and first Mikado Tenkaichi finals qualifier, which I believe is a pretty good win for him. So he's picked up a lot of first place winnings and came in second at Evo Japan. So can he gain the recognition he deserves to come in first at Evo 2018 in America. We'll find out.
I mean, he did in 2017, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
The next person is, I assume, Nage.
Yeah, Nage.
Another Japanese player, and you will
awesome.
notice a trend of the Far East in our list of players here.
Yes.
Nage is a Faust main, Faust being a
Faust
very
is a
interesting
weird
looking character.
That is a weird character. He's this big guy with a bag on his head, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and he's got.
It looks like a bag at least.
I'm pretty sure it's a bag, and this game is some anime ass shit. So he throws around bombs, and he plays a lot with controlling space. So he's actually a really cool character, I think. And he has a lot of his normals have a lot of range because he has that. I think it's a cool.
It's an oversized scalpel.
It's a scalpel. Oh yeah, he's a doctor. Never mind.
Yep.
He's a doctor. Okay.
He's a doctor who becomes a murderer after the death of a girl in one of his surgeries. After
The deep lore. That's what you're here for, Yvonne.
Being imprisoned, Faust
deep
is given
lore.
a second
Let's
chance
go.
after the first Guilty Gear tournament. He decides to commit suicide, but learns the girl's death was actually caused by a third party. Welcome to anime. Also, welcome to, Days of Our Lives or General Hospital, which I'm pretty sure
Which
had
they
one of
took
this
from anime.
exact plot in it.
He
And
is
then
a
he
doctor.
donned a bag on his head and used his oversized scalpel, how did he come up with an oversized scalpel? Did he also invent make larger ray, a mega ray? Who knows? Faust seeks out the truth about the girl's death while dedicating himself to saving lives again, and he does this by killing people in Guilty Gear.
Let me tell you, the story mode explains none of that. I beat this in Xrd, but that's because this is a 20-year-old series. Apparently there's a lot of deep lore, and that's something the casuals can get into, and even the fighting game players. I think that's exciting. But Nage must be Faust himself because he wants to win big, as he showed at Evo Japan, where he came in first. That being said, he did not do terribly well at King of Kings. He came in 5th. I mean, that's pretty sick. To come in top 8 in a large tournament is awesome. But I'm sure he would have loved
his play. This is a professional player.
You're right. He could have done better. He
won Evo, and then he took his laurels and he sat on them. 7th and 5th in the next 2 tournaments. What are you, Nage?
Second at Mikado Tenkaichi. I think he's looking to come up and rise to the challenge of probably fighting Omito in the top 8 at some points.
We'll see.
We will see. Next up, we have Lost Souls, United States player. In fact, the only USA native on the top 8, and he plays Efelt, my favorite looking character for reasons that I will not disclose. She is awesome. I tried to main her just so I could look at her more, but it didn't work out for me. Anyways, he came at 9th in CEO, which was a very recent tournament, 9th at Combo Breaker, 1st at Final Round, and 4th at Frosty Fausting X. So, no, for CEO and Combo Breaker, didn't make top 8, but he came in 1st at Final Round. I'm guessing, because he's from the United States, he's going to a lot of American tournaments. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously Evo Japan was in Japan, but I'm not sure where King of Kings Battle Mania was. But I'm just saying that I'm not necessarily sure that the top players decided to come out to all these tournaments. That does have a deciding factor on some of these people's placements in these tournaments.
Yes. So,
yeah.
You know, the USA needs to represent, and sometimes
we love
you
anime
don't
too, right?
necessarily get the opportunity to be everywhere.
Yeah.
Samito!
From Japan, he's a chip main. Didn't do so well. He placed top 8 in King of Kings by coming in 7th. And then he placed in 13th in KVO and 25th at Evo Japan, which is not so good. Made top 32. It's pretty good, but I think being a top 8 player, he would want to do better at Evo Japan.
The interesting thing I find is that despite him not being as successful as, say, Lasso, Nage, or Omito, he is the first player on this list of 8 players who has a team sponsorship with Walker Gaming.
Yes.
So despite having the lower placements, he has
I'm not sure
a team sponsorship.
If he plays other games.
He
I'm
has
sure
not
he does.
entered in other tournaments,
No.
according to
other
SRK
games.
data.
SRK is pretty legit. They know what they're talking about. But you know who else has a sponsorship, I'm guessing? Kazunoko, who also plays this game.
Kazunoko is like
all over the place.
He's
He
a
plays so
dope,
many games.
dope FGC member,
Yes.
and he has won like literally $100,000 minimum.
And that's over across many games, not just one game. It's one thing to be proficient at one fighting game, but to be so proficient at so many different fighting games, including Street Fighter V, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and this game, that's pretty impressive. He came in first at CEO 2018, probably the most recent tournament for this game, at least a huge tournament. Fourth at Combo Breaker, first at Stunfest, and third
By the way,
at Evo
he
Japan.
also finished first in Dragon Ball Z Fighters at CEO 2018. Just to let you know that he's the dopest of the dope.
Yeah, he likes his anime games, and he's from Japan. This guy's dope. Be on the lookout for him, although I cannot imagine how he's going to enter in all of these games at Evo. He's going to be exhausted. He won't sleep. He's just not going to be able to sleep. This guy's crazy. Man,
I assume at some point he can pop like a something.
Power nap. Oh, he's got like a Red Bull or a Monster?
No, I meant like a pill of some sort to let him sleep.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. The Japanese must have like you get a cat nap in a pill.
Yeah,
you just
they've
eat
figured
it
that out
in
by
30
now.
minutes. You wake up as
It's
if you'd
probably
slept 8
ramen
hours.
flavored or something.
That'd be the best.
That would be great.
So Kazunoko is an amazing fighting game player.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be maining Raven.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Raven is an interesting character, I assume. Why do you think he chose Raven as a guy who's so well versed in the multitude of fighting games? Why is Raven part of the top?
I need to remind
selection?
myself of what Raven looks like. Sorry. Raven, I do not know much about. I never played as Raven, so I do not know. And I actually never came up in a lot of fights. I never came up against a Raven player. But
So that's interesting.
yeah, that is interesting because Raven is in the game. Let's see. He's got needles capable of stunning opponents, creating slow fields. Oh, so this guy plays sort of like he likes to control the opponent's movement a lot. By slowing them down, apparently, and I think that must get into a lot of he needs a lot of setup. So I would assume he's gonna his gameplay must look like he's looking for a knockdown, maybe from a throw or a sweep, and then he's going to set up a bunch of needles and shit and just ruin your day. I'm guessing that's how Raven plays. Again, I don't know.
It says he also has some sort of
He's got
teleportation
magical powers.
stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. So maybe he'll probably play the keep away game for a little bit until he's ready to strike with his needles. I assume he needs to charge up at some point some needles. It sounds like, I don't know. He's got magic too. This guy's crazy.
So the weirdest thing, I think, for me in terms of this game in particular, as we run through all of these people, we are at number 5 with Kazunoko.
Yeah.
We go to number 6, Takehara. We haven't run into duplicates in terms of mains. So Takehara is a Ram Lethal main versus Raven before him, Chip for Samito, Elfet for Lasso, Faust for Nage, and Johnny for Omita. So in our top 6, and even while we drill down to the number 8 slot, we haven't had a repeat in terms of main. This is an unusual thing for a fighting game because in most fighting games, even if you have like, okay, there are a few 4 or 5 S tier characters that everybody's going to play.
Definitely.
They repeat in terms of the top. If you look at like what we just did in terms of Dragon Ball Z Fighters, even though the meta is emerging and is brand new, you see like 2 or 3 characters that are located throughout everybody's play.
Definitely.
So this is a very interesting thing, I think, in terms of the level of intricacy and complexity that this game is providing that a lot of other games aren't providing, which if we see this game lost out of Evo, I'm really excited to see how that could be re-implemented in a different style game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this game, definitely. I do typically watch the tournament. It's an exciting game to watch, as it's really flashy, and there are a lot of cool-looking characters in the game. So it's not just a cool fighting game, but it's aesthetically pleasing personally to me. Anyways, I think it looks cool.
So Takahara, not the greatest 2018, only 3 tournaments on record on SRK, and including a 129 finish at Evo Japan. He must have withdrawn for some reason.
I'm pretty sure he did.
This is also one of those things where you're unsure of how somebody's going to perform just because they haven't performed enough in that year.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he comes out in the tournaments that he's actually fully participated in. This year we see the Arc Systems Fighting Game Awards number 2.
Yeah.
KVO Cross TSB number 5. So in the tournaments that he's actually participated in, a decent result. So we'll see if that lack of participating tournaments actually is a surprise and a benefit for Takahara coming into this Evo.
I'm excited. We'll see how he does. I do like Ram Lethal's character design. She's really wonky. She's 2 gigantic swords and floats. But yeah, I think she's a cool character. Next up, we have Daru from South Korea. He's an Ino main, which is also a cool character. You'll see her character go diagonal. Her dashes go like diagonally up, and I think that's a pretty cool. I think she's the only character that really moves in that direction. So she has some cool angles that she can attack from. I think she's a cool character. Daru placed first at Combo Breaker, so that's a huge win for him. 17th at KVO, and first at Anime Ascension, and 17th at Evo Japan. So definitely hit or miss for this guy. We'll see if he can pull it out. Maybe it's because he came up against certain players early on in a bracket, or maybe he was having a bad day those days. You never know. These games can be really temperamental and hard to perform at high levels consistently. So we'll see.
Daru also one of the only non-Japanese top 8.
Yeah, that's pretty important to think about.
Which means that the last person that we're talking about is
Japanese.
T5M7 from Japan. the easiest name for me to pronounce so far. And an interesting record in 2018, has participated in a number of tournaments.
Yeah.
But did a mixed result, placing in the higher order of things. So I think that this is a very positive step as we move forward into Evo 2018. If we look at Evo 2017, number one was Number one was Kazunoko?
2017
Omito.
Was Omito, yeah.
And number 2 was T5M7.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a tournament that he's not going to shy away from.
Yep.
He's been there on the highest stage at this tournament and won. So T5M7 has a good chance of making it into the top tier, especially if he gets those good breaks in the preliminary rounds. I think that is a very solid top 8. T5M7 is a Leo main, so again, a different character.
I wanted to mention Leo is definitely your favorite character because he's basically Reinhardt. If you look at his character design, and he has awesome swords, and also he's really tricky. He can basically dash through the opponent with an attack, and he has a back stance as well. pretty much like Tekken. There's a lot of characters in Tekken that have back stances,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of his moves change when his back is facing you. So I think he's a really interesting character that is pretty fun to watch, I think. And he's
That's
blonde.
intriguing. I love the blonde characters. So, Julien, having gone through our top 8, who do you think is going to be our tournament champion?
I feel like we can be on the lookout for T5M7, Nage, or Amito, personally. I think they're having pretty decent years so far, and I think that one of them really wants it the most. We will find out. I do not know. I would have to say those are my top 3.
That's fair. I'm going to say for my dark horse candidate, it is going to be a Japanese player by the name of Nakamura. And why?
Nakamura.
Because Nakamura's main is Milia Rage.
Oh, Milia
Where
Rage
is Milia
is dope.
from? Milia's from Russia. Like
Ruski.
this guy.
That's
Since
dope.
there are no Russian players who play fighting games, apparently, we're going to go with the next best thing, the Russian main.
The Russian character. Cool.
So my dark horse tournament champion is Nakamura. Nakamura actually not a
Not too
terrible
shabby.
2018 showing.
Not too shabby.
So 2 tournaments this year and 4th at KVO Cross TSB. So not a terrible showing.
Yeah.
Can come up, has previously come up with some number 1 finishes. In any case, Julien, that was Guilty Gear XR'd Rev 2. By the end of the video, I have said it correctly.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Especially despite the fact that I just drank a huge whiskey standard.
Dope. I thought that was water. Got me there. Well, anyways, this game is awesome. I highly suggest you check it out. Whether you buy it or just watch the Evo tournament, I think it's worth watching at least. It's a very exciting game. You can play it on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And it's really fast-paced. So if you're looking for a really complex game that is also inviting in how it teaches you how to play, then check this game out. Worth buying. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
A strong recommendation from the Juju.
I like
so
this game.
Evo's coming up in August. What's the next thing that we're gonna go through?
If we can, I will play Chrono Cross Blaze Blue Mega Battle, whatever it's called. It's Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. I believe I'm...
Play Ruby, dude.
I know. I'm on the verge of buying the game. You can play as Persona characters, too, in that game. It's kind of sick.
They've got Persona 4 Arena characters.
Persona 4 Arena, kind of sick. Not gonna lie. So close to buying it. No. We'll see. I think... And that game definitely will have legs, considering it just came out this year. It's very exciting. And it's also supposed to be pretty accessible in terms of...
Gameplay.
Gameplay. But also,
Excellent.
what else will we be putting out? We're going to be covering Overwatch League playoffs, which just kicked off on the 11th of July. Be on the lookout for those and our coverage starting next week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So definitely be excited for that. I'm excited for Overwatch League.
I'm excited
we're gonna
to
go
watch
see
the Russians
the
compete
finals
against each other. We are actually going to see the finals. Julien, that's
we're literally
ridiculous.
going. We're literally going to be there. 10 feet
our
away from
podcast,
fire.
as always, is on Mondays.
Yeah.
We haven't missed a beat, despite not necessarily having a topic
Hey, we
on the
still
4th
put
of
it
July
out.
weekend, but we
We
still
were
put
too
one
drunk.
out.
We weren't that drunk. We weren't drunk.
You know what we are going to also be putting out in the upcoming weeks as we get ready? We had the hype from E3 of The Last of Us.
E3.
Everybody told me The Last of Us is the game to play.
Was it
so
worth
coming
it so
up
far?
soon, we will start our
Last of
Yvonne's
Us.
first plays
Let's
of
play.
The Last of Us. So
Cool.
thank you so much for tuning into Evo Bootcamp. We will try and force Julien to play some more fighting games in the future
Don't
to
have
make
to
sure
ask
that
me too much.
you are informed of everything
Yeah.
you need to know. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you want to know more about, or have have a point that you want to bring up that we didn't bring up, please check out the comment section below. My name's Ivan over there.
Julien, catch you guys next week. Bye.
Thanks, bye.